We now welcome on Bill Papierniak to the podcast. We're excited to have Bill on. He's been the GM of the Flying Squirrels, three World Series rings in his possession. He's a guy who knows a ton about baseball. Bill, thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Gotta start asking first that being the GM of the Flying Squirrels, getting those three World Series wins since they're an affiliate of the San Francisco Giants, what is that process like working within the organization with the Flying Squirrels?
Well, I mean, you're an affiliate of a major league club, so you work with them, but you don't have the actual decisions on the player personnel. You have all the other decisions with as far as how everything's run from a business, from a day to day, and from everything from how to get the players to the field itself, the stadium itself. So you really just handle the business end of everything, and they handle the player personnel. Now you work with them on a lot of those things, and that you're a little bit involved, but you don't actually get to say, I want this guy, I want that guy. And
It's impressive stuff. I know you did a bunch of stuff in professional baseball prior to being the GM of the Flying Squirrels. Can you take us through, I guess, how somebody goes from college to then the GM of minor league baseball team?
well, I think it's very different now. When I was in college, I graduated in '95, that there was a different path. JMU didn't even have sports management at that point. So I was just actually a business management major. That was when cell phones weren't even really around. So the way for me to get a job is I actually started just mailing out resume after resume, then started going to ballpark after ballpark, just knocking on the door and saying I'll do anything. Just give me an opportunity. And I was fortunate enough that the Pirates affiliate at the time in Lynchburg offered me a glorified internship, big whopping $12,500 a year, to start. And minor league baseball and Major League Baseball, it's a lot the same. You start out making next to nothing, and it takes years and years and years of doing a lot of grunt work to move your way up the ladder.
How did business management, pre-sport management, and all of that prepare you for, I guess, throughout minor league baseball, but more specifically being the GM of this minor league team where just minor league baseball, it seems like everything's in flux every year.
It didn't. That that I mean, I'm of the belief that there are certain things within college that do prepare you for very specific tasks. Really, it just prepared me for life. My time at JMU, just it prepared me to be an adult. And but as far as actually the work I did in management, it was great. And sure, I'm sure I learned things. I'm sure there were things that I took from that, but I actually learned more once I got there and kind of understood everything and just worked my way each and every time. And as the experiences came, that's where I learned the most. That if I was going to tell you I learned this in the books or this in this class that I implemented, that's just not true. I learned more from reading business books and things like that than as far as specific to what I was doing. But I mean, JMU wasn't even built for that at the time. There was no sports management, so I was trying to take just general management and move it into a unique setting, and that was one where you just try to come up with the craziest things to draw people to the ballpark and to do different stuff like that. So that was not really something I was prepared for until I got there.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I was a management major, and that checks out. You got to get some.
I loved it. The people were great, and my time at JMU was great. But yeah, it didn't. I didn't all of a sudden come out and say, "Okay, I'm ready to take on the world here in baseball because of my management degree."
Yeah, exactly. That makes a ton of sense. Have you always been kind of a baseball guy? Was that something going into college that you had your eye on getting into the professional ranks?
No, no. I mean, I love sports, but when I first got to college, I didn't know what I wanted to do, other than I just wanted to work somewhere, make more money than my dad ever did, and be successful in whatever I was doing. But no, I didn't have a plan to actually get into sports. When I actually graduated from college, I didn't get into sports. I spent 2 years prior to starting in sports, and then I that's when I realized that I wanted to do something in sports, and how could I make that work? So when you're housekeeping manager at a nursing home, you learn pretty quickly that's not what you want to do for life.
So with the Flying Squirrels, did you take over as GM their first year in Richmond when their inaugural season?
I did. I actually spent 4 years in Lynchburg in the Pirates chain. when I left there in, was it '01? And I went to Hagerstown, which was the Giants affiliate. I was there for 2 years as the assistant GM. Then I moved to Daytona Beach, and I was with the Cubs affiliate, and spent 6 years there as their GM for their Florida operation. Um, that's really, I mean, I learned things everywhere, but that's really where I learned how to operate things. And then the summer before, when there was talk when that there was going to be a team coming back, I don't know if you remember, but there was 3 or 4 different leagues that wanted to come to the Eastern League, or excuse me, they wanted to come to Richmond.
Yeah.
And so I got contacted by both the Giants and Lou DiBella, who was the head of that ownership group, and they knew I was from Virginia, knew I had family still here, and asked if I would have an interest in working with them to secure their bid for the team. So that's how I got involved. Yeah, I was there from day one. There were 4 of us day one, and it was a disaster, that ballpark, when we got there.
Oh, not to throw shade at the Diamond now, as I live like a mile away from it, but it's still kind of a disaster as they are trying to make the new Diamond District. But what is it like? Granted, Richmond had the Braves, lost the Braves, and then it just seems like Richmond's a town that is really just loves their kind of minor league sports. What is it like revitalizing minor league baseball in a city like Richmond?
Um, I always said that I think we do a disservice to people, because I think really, by and large, in every walk of this United States, that people are people, that they just want to be entertained, and what is going to entertain them is really what you have to come down to. And there may be some nuances in different locations, but so it was just taking the same formula we used other places, that I mean, not to say that I did anything wonderful, other than I think I was really good at hiring people. And I think that's the key to your success. And but how did it feel? It was awesome. I mean, the first time you walk out there, I still have pictures and still have goosebumps walking around the ballpark. I mean, I can remember to this day, the probably the most exciting I've ever been, were two moments. And actually have the aerial photos of each that I have in my, not in this office, but my other office. And it's one's opening day, when I was first day as GM in Daytona Beach, when we sold out for the first time in like 20 years. And I remember looking at my wife had to come and actually help sell tickets right outside, because we had so many people. And I remember looking at her and being like, "This is so awesome!" And that was just a moment that was unreal. And then the same thing when we opened up the Diamond, and just the lines were out of this world. And I can remember standing there, and people going crazy all over the place. And I just said, "Okay, take 10 seconds to just take it all in." And that was yes, it was awesome. I mean, there's nothing more exciting than bringing joy to people, and in some small world, and for 3 hours, set eight, what was it, 72 days a year, or we were able to do that. And that was a lot of fun.
I'm always really fascinated because I was an intern for the Fight and Phils, and they dressed me up as like a vegetable for mascot races like 15 times one summer. But I'm always curious because minor league baseball teams do so many different creative things to get people to come to games and get butts and seats. What did you guys do over your various stops to get people to come? And I guess, is any of that applicable to sort of college sports or college baseball? I know JMU fans are always talking about small baseball crowds and how to keep fans like engaged at football games.
Well, I mean, I think it is. I mean, I want to say that I learned a lot on how to put people in the ballpark. Um, just in my time, I spent some time when I was in Hagerstown. That was owned by Mandalay Sports, who, I'm not sure if you're really familiar with a lot of that backstory, but they had the Dayton team that had sold out so many years in a row. That was their first foray into minor league baseball. But before, they had worked with some different people that had success in the NBA. And and the biggest thing to draw people is, what do people want to come see? And it can be a speaker, it can be any type of giveaway, it can be something you're doing. So I mean, I've wrestled alligators, I've given away funerals, I've if there's something to do, that I did. I mean, I've dressed up as a woman, and drug the field before for our drag queens. And
Yeah, the Richmond Flying Squirrels drag queens.
I've done just about all those things. And the best thing when you come to a new area is you get to redo all the stuff you did before that worked well, and everybody thinks it's brand new. So that was fun. But yeah, I would say that's the key is just how do you get people to come out? Is it because their kids coming? Is it because you've touched their heartstring? Is it because it's a great deal? I am of the belief that I mean, I think, just to get on a totally different subject, that you have to be careful when you're setting up things. And I know that there's been a lot of talk about expanding Bridgeforth, for example, that you don't want to expand it too soon. And I know you guys have been proponents of that. That if you do and you lose the demand always has to exceed the supply for you to continue to grow. So the second it doesn't, that's when you start to see fall off. And the second you don't have packed houses, it just doesn't stop. It continues to get worse and worse and worse unless you can prove to do that. And that's it's challenging because you want to move as fast as you can. And if you can sell it out in 1 year, great. But can you sell it out in 10 and 15 years still, or can you have a packed house? And that's the biggest challenge to how to draw is really how do you create a demand and how do you not have enough supply to meet that demand? And it sounds terrible, but you want people not to be able to get tickets. That's the best thing for business.
So transitioning a little over to JMU baseball, if that's the way to sell tickets, is it, how much of it is the product on the field and how much of it is the demand to get people? I guess this is a convoluted question to ask. Do you have to have a good product on the field to get butts in the seats, or is it kind of everything around it that matters more?
My opinion is everything around it. If in minor league baseball we were relying on the product on the field, that we'd be in trouble. That you can have, I mean, yes, product on the field can help you draw, but that is a fleeting thing that you're not always going to be good. You're going to have years where you're down a little bit. It's got to be the entire experience. So whatever that is that draws people. And college baseball it's a little bit of a challenge because you're not talking about, for the most part, household names. You're talking about a mixture. I mean, some guys get drafted right out of high school, so I don't want to say it's watered down because that's not a fair statement to the guys playing college baseball. It's a split thing. Whereas is in football, there's not people getting drafted right out of high school. So in, I guess, basketball maybe there is, but there's such a smaller roster that
Yeah.
it is different, and it's forever changing. So I think the best way to draw is to how do you create an experience that people are really going to want to see, and and that can be done in a myriad of ways. And I'm not sitting here saying that I have every single answer. That I've been away from the game for 7-8 years now, so yeah, I'm sure things have changed, but by and large, how do you get people involved is get them excited about going.
No, that checks out. I think even Jack, right, like the Valley League does a decent job of like the Turks of making games fun and interactive with stuff in between innings. I know there's probably a lack of resources sometimes for JMU and what they can do during a college game. But football, they do some nice things with like the mascot races and stuff. Although I don't love that they're scripted. As a former mascot racer myself, I'd like it to be pure competition.
You were a mascot racer?
When I was a vegetable.
Oh, at the Fightin' Fells. I thought you meant you were like
Yeah.
lobster at one point for JMU football.
No. I was just getting cooked as like carrot a few
So is
summers
that
back.
Scott Hunsinger GM, or is that Chuck
Yeah, he was.
Chuck
Yeah,
Dominic?
Scott.
Okay.
Are they really scripted? Wait, sorry to go on this tangent here, but those are scripted?
Are you asking me or are you asking Bennett?
Either one. The vegetable races or the food races are scripted?
At JMU, I'm sure they
Yeah,
are.
those are definitely scripted. They like running like sideways and all
Okay.
over. Those are predetermined winners, but like they would let us just go out and get after it.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
and I lost
I
them
was more
all.
so asking about minor league baseball, that side of it, but I'll digress. So this will be a different conversation for a different time. My apologies for that tangent.
But yeah, they let us go after it. It was a good time.
I
That's
think
awesome.
the best races are always ones where you don't know
Yeah.
exactly who's going to win, and you can give advantages to people because you
Yeah, they
want
did
certain
do
things
that. Yeah.
to win. But yeah, if it's pre-scripted, you have to have some really good actors to make it not look pre-scripted.
Right.
Very fair. My last question, Bill, is looking at JMU baseball now, kind of taking it over there. What are you looking forward to moving forward? You kind of have that, I mean, different eye than what Bennett and I bring to the table. We have never been a GM of a team. We don't have any World Series rings sitting behind us or anything like that. So from your perspective, how do you see JMU baseball growing on a regional final appearance?
Well, I mean, to win and go to the regionals is a good start. I mean, it's just like everything. It's getting the right players, and you get the right players, and a lot of things can go right. I don't know that I have necessarily all the answers to how everything would be best, but sorry, I just set off my alarm. But but I mean, I think that it's I don't want to say the right path because that's maybe a little bit of an overstatement, but I think that they can build if they can build off of this past year that you can start to see that right path develop.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, I it was an exciting year. It was a really exciting year, but it's going to be a challenge. I mean, they're going to replace a very large portion of that team, and that's, I mean, how do you replace it? Do you replace it with guys that are really really good and ready to play right away, or do you replace it with guys that need development? If you need development, then we could be looking at another year or two that it takes where we're not quite as not quite as good.
Yeah. Bennett, anything else?
I think that's all I've got, but I was excited to chat with Bill. I love talking minor league baseball in general, but you have some pretty impressive insights from your days.
Oh, I don't know how impressive I am, but it's their insights nonetheless.
No, Bill, we appreciate the time. Thank you for talking with us. And yeah, we really appreciate the insights with it all because like I said, we don't have those types of insights from a baseball perspective. So appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.